Hello and welcome to the Serena in 2D podcast. Today I'm so excited to have my first guest, a very special guest, Ty Davis, the creator of Hussle. And it's available to read on Manga Plus Creators. He has the first chapter out and new chapters are coming out soon. And we are going to be talking about the Chainsaw Man anime adaptation since this first season just wrapped up. And we're going to talk about, too, how Chainsaw Man might have influenced two series a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Ty, you want to...
Not much. I thank you for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So Ty, what are your overall thoughts on the Chainsaw Man anime? Maybe compared with the manga too.
It's one of the best adaptations I've seen. As far as all the fall anime that came out, I think it's the best adaptation. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that they left out was, that scene where Makima's feeding Denji, but then he goes out and like does a little mission, a side mission when he's still hungry. Yeah. That's the only thing I think they left out. But other than that, I think the animation, the fights have been hyped. And the music, too. It has some great music. Like, anime adaptations, if they got some good music, you can get me in. Like...
Oh, yeah.
I think it's been great.
Yeah, that was my only thing that I had issue with them taking out, too, was the whole, like, not letting him eat when he's hungry and all that stuff. But aside from that, there was nothing that was really left out that I felt like changed much about it. And, but for me, oh, and we got all sorts of extra things, like the ending sequences, the extra...
They went crazy for those.
Oh, yeah, the animation, the music, they got so many big names for the different ending sequences.
Yeah.
And you can tell so much love was put into this.
It's crazy, because when I saw that they were doing 12 separate endings, I was like, okay, this is their favorite. Chainsaw Man is Mappa's favorite.
I think the president even said something like, "This is gonna change everything. This is our show. This is our time."
I don't know what Fujimoto influenced him, but they love Fujimoto for sure.
They did, and it's,
I don't know
what
he
did. And but unfortunately, there's some people that aren't so happy with the adaptation. Oh no. There's a petition. I think it has like 2,000 signatures now to have it reanimated. Like, people just being salty. It's not going to get reanimated, people. According to the petition writer, the anime is polarizing because the film-like direction undermines the manga's intensity and comedic elements. You know what? To me, I think there's a positive to this, right? I think because people love the manga so much, they wanted to see that done again in an anime form instead of getting something that's cinematic. But to say that it undermines it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think people are just picky, if I'm being honest. Like, and here's the thing, I'm not the biggest CGI guy, but the way they did the CGI in Chainsaw Man is probably some of the best I've seen. Like, one of my favorite CGI scenes was Denji versus Katana Man. Both of the fights, they were just great. Like, I think they did a phenomenal job. And I actually started, CGI actually really grew on me since watching this Chainsaw Man anime. And people are just picky, bro. If we're being honest, a lot of people are just overly picky. They don't know what they talk about. You don't gotta say it, I'm gonna say it. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't.
Yeah, they don't like change. They don't like change. They wanted it to be, more gritty and, hard shadows, in the manga, but there's, the haloing, a lot of, nice soft highlights, and they're like, oh, it's too pretty. And I'm like, why are you mad at something for being pretty? Come on now.
You know, Buzz, I think they do have, those moments, when Denji's doing Denji things and he's sawing things up. I think it has that grittiness, a lot. Like, when they were fighting, I think it was the Eternity Devil, and he jumped down, he jumped down the hallway. I was like, this is really gritty. Or when Makima on the train scene. I feel like they had all that.
I think so, and I think they just wanted all of it to be rougher, and it's weird, because I think most things are done really well. I think the comedic elements do work a lot better in the manga than they do in the anime, but it's not.
Yeah, I agree.
It's kind of hard to.
And I think generally manga. Yeah, and I think generally manga is gonna have some things better than anime typically. So this isn't like a Chainsaw Man specific thing, right? But again, I think it's one of the better adaptations I've seen. There are some rough adaptations out there, and Chainsaw Man is not one of them.
Exactly, and it's not one of those things where it's like I'm not gonna watch any of the anime anymore. I'm just gonna read the manga. When people realized that Tokyo Ghoul wasn't what they wanted, they were just like, I'm just gonna read the manga.
Oh yeah,
it's just a different direction.
So you got things like Yeah, you got things like Tokugo and Promised Neverland. Like Chainsaw Man's least of our worries. Like, cause I was a big Promised Neverland fan. Like, I remember I was watching and reading the manga. I finished the manga like, yo, this gonna be one of the best new gen anime. And then I tell all my friends like, yo, y'all gotta watch this. And they looking at me sideways now. Now my reputation's on the line. You know what I'm saying? So I was
like, come on, guys.
Like Promised Neverland. That's something they need to redo. If you don't redo anything, it needs to be Promised Neverland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I remember. Oh, another thing people had issues with were the voice acting. How did you feel about the voices?
What was the problem? What was the problem?
Okay, one of them, I think they were saying that Denji wasn't like crazy enough, and I'm like, he sounded awesome. He was like screaming and cackling. I don't know.
Yeah. What did they think he like sounded too much like a kid? The kid that he is?
I just heard it was like
Like
on
I
the
guess,
list.
is that what it's about?
Too much like a teenage boy. Why does the teenage boy?
That's
why.
That's what I'm confused about. He sounds like a 16-year-old. You know? I don't know, man. I don't know.
And the crazy.
It's one of those things where people like, for example, I think one of the best voices is Makima. Makima has an excellent voice. I was like, wow, this is really like when they were at the shrine and she was like talking. Oh no, this is tough. This is amazing. I think Makima's voice actor is great. Probably one of the best. I'm trying to think who has the best voice. I like Aki's voice too. I really like Aki's voice. I think all the voices fit the characters really well. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think they were great. Yeah, Makima, it was really soft, and I know some people when they heard it in the trailers, they were like, "Oh no, she should have sounded more like a sexy anime mom or something." And I was like, "Let's like," I was like, "Hold on." She's supposed to sound unsuspecting too, and she's so quiet that like it forces you to listen, and it lets you know that she has everything under control. She doesn't have to raise her voice. She doesn't have to do it. She's just very soft and mild. And it works so well.
And I think that she does. I do think they put that little seducing part in there. Like for example, when she like bites Digi finger, that whole scene. I think that that's where I think that you put that into play when she's trying to manipulate somebody. Mm-hmm. For her average voice, she's supposed to sound normal. I think that's at least what I took away from it. I don't think she's supposed to always talk sexy like when they're at dinner or something. That's weird. Like no one talks like that in real life. Like you don't. No one who's trying to seduce someone will always talk like that. That's strange. That'd be really it's awkward weird. If she was always talking like every scene the way she was talking to Denji in that scene. That'd be strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think too, I don't know, like when I was going back and revisiting certain scenes, I love all the little extra things they put in. And I think that's kind of missed when we just talk about what was missing or what wasn't adapted. It's like they put in a lot of nice little extra things. Like, we have objects kind of, like, just falling over. Like, when the stamp falls to the ground and falls over, and when she,
Oh, yeah.
But, so many things added, like, depth, and the sound design was great, and even just, like, Himeno knocking that chair over when she was bringing Denji into her place, and him kicking over the soda can. It was well directed.
Yeah, I think another good scene they added in was, I don't know if it's in the manga, and if I'm wrong, it is what it is, but I do. When Makima was getting dressed to do the little hand things and blow people up, like I don't think that was in. I think that she was like, "Hey, meet me at the shrine up the mountain," and then they just had her like doing like this. But then they showed her actually like getting dressed and stuff like that. That was dope.
Yeah, I think.
I don't think that was in the manga.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the hand movements were like, they felt so sinister, like so slow and deliberate.
Yeah, it was so.
Really nice. And the sounds.
No,
what were you saying? Sorry.
No, I was about to say my sister. She's never seen Chainsaw Man. She's like, I think Makima a witch. She's like, she's convinced that Makima is just a witch. I mean, it's not crazy, but she was like, nah. She said she thinks her theory is that she's a witch.
I mean, we know what's up with Makima. We know.
Yeah.
And Oh no, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I'm just saying. Yeah, we know for sure. Like, we definitely know what's up with her.
Yeah, and what else? Oh, I loved like the sparks that would come off. Oh, all right. Okay. I would love like the sparks and stuff that we would see from Chainsaw Man and the chainsaws when they'd come out and like hit up against cement and stuff. It was like, there was good texture and sound design, and it was just really, really nice stuff going on.
I know it's your podcast. Let me ask you a question though. What scene are you most looking forward to being animated?
In the future? Oh my goodness.
Like upcoming season.
So I was trying to keep it a little bit spoiler free. Oh, okay. You know I don't want them to let us down, so I almost don't even want to utter it. But you know who I'm thinking of. Darkness.
Oh, exactly. Astronaut. I was
That's
just
all I'm
thinking
gonna say.
That has to be my favorite. Like that was the first manga volume of Chainsaw Man I got, and before I collected it all. Like that, I read that so often because it is so like I love the way Fujimo paneled that entire like battle. It was so brilliant to me. Like when I just cannot wait for the astronaut scene to get animated. Like cause I know based on how they made Makima seem sinister with the whole shrine scene, that one is like way better. I think that one is gonna be a lot better. I can't wait for that.
I think
oh
so.
my god, I can't wait. But that's the next season or the season after?
I don't know how they're gonna pace things. I saw some people predicting that it will be in next season, but honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure because we have to get through Bomb Devil, and I don't.
Yeah.
And then so I don't know. It might be. I hope so because I don't want to have to wait.
I hope so. I hope the ending off on that would be crazy, and then you have like the last arc. That would be fire. I would love that.
Oh, I didn't think about that. And imagine. Okay, you know what? I don't want to. I don't want to talk too much about it.
Snowball.
I want this.
The snowball scene too. Astronaut and snowball scene. Those are the two scenes I want to see animated the most. I don't know which one I want more though. Probably snowball scene. I ain't gonna lie. Snowball scene. I ain't gonna lie. That. You know, I almost dropped Chainsaw Man when I was reading. No, I almost dropped it when I was watching it. When I first was reading it, I was, I asked my brothers like, "Hold on, is this really what it's about to be?" Like, I was like sitting there like, "Okay, this is the way to reverse this," and he was like, "Nah," and I was like, "I think I'm good here." I kept reading, but I almost dropped it there because I was sad.
You know what?
I was really sad.
You got us with that one.
No, it definitely hit me a little bit. I was like, "Wow." Like it hit, because the thing about it is like there wasn't a series that recently made me like sad. Outside like maybe like Villain Saga when I was reading Villain Saga. So seeing that scene, I was like, wow, this actually hit me deep. So I don't know. I think especially to get the music right, I'm excited for that.
Oh god, yeah, I think the music's gonna be great, and you know what, that hurts. But you know what? Let's talk about happy things. Remember how they ended off, or towards the end of the
that was optimistic.
Yeah,
was that added in there too? Like was that like added in?
It was added. You know what? I think certain things were added in like the grocery store and everything, but I think we see them eating in the house or in the apartment. I don't remember exactly, but I feel like they added in the playground scene at the very least, and the prank at the shrine, just them on their way to relax and celebrate, detaining the Snake Devil chick and Katana Man. But yeah,
okay.
I loved it. Really cute.
It was like one of those things where you were talking about earlier about how it looked really beautiful, like the way that they're directing things. Like I enjoyed it. I did. There's not much about the Chainsaw Man anime that I have negative to say. Like so, the fact that people are really upset about it, I don't know. Maybe I'm a simple guy. I enjoyed it.
No, you do great art analysis stuff too. So you have an eye, obviously. So the fact that it's not like making you be like, oh, this is awful. They ruined Fujimoto's vision with this, I think it means it's quality. We know it's good.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. And so let's talk about Hussle. I'm so excited. So I read it, of course, on Manga Plus Creators, and it was awesome. I loved it. I think it's a great first chapter. No, honestly. It got us intrigued about the characters, and the action was really well done, and super great, heartwarming moments. You know how I care about character interactions so much. That's like my number one thing. And so we got a lot of great character interactions, and then you leave us on a fun cliffhanger. But do you want to give us a synopsis of Hussle?
Okay, I got you. So basically, in my chapter 0, I talk about 100 years ago, an unexplained event caused metahumans to develop abilities called gifts, which is basically think My Hero with quirks, think X-Men, mutants, pretty much that. And basically my story is about society adjusting to that. right? Creating certain laws. I kind of touch on that in chapter 1 about students using their powers for occupational purposes. Like, so in a series like My Hero, if someone has a metal ability, they would probably be a hero. But in my society, how it works is you would use that for occupational purposes. So for like, Lisa, for example, she's going to train to be an engineer because she has metal manipulation. Obviously, engineering and metal go hand in hand. If, like, let's say I was a healer, I would probably go to med school, things like that. So I wanted to kind of incorporate it and think about it in a way in which, like, if powers were given to us today, how would we use it? And I think that that's more in line with how our world would be. So that's what I want to do. And then I just kind of touch on some of the consequences of those things. If you have powers, that means more crime. Like, that's bound to happen because you're going to have a bunch of people given a bunch of power, and when a bunch of people get power, it essentially creates chaos. So that's kind of what my story is about. Is some of the crime rates increasing because the society is still adjusting, and how essentially people are adjusting to the people getting gifts.
Awesome. And can you tell us about our main characters? Just a little bit. I know you love to spoil,
Okay, I got
just
you.
a little.
Okay, I'll try to be okay. So basically, the story revolves around 3 characters: TJ, Carlos, and Lisa. So for TJ, I think he's what people are going to label the actual MC. Even though they're all 3, in my eyes, the main character. The people are going to label him the actual MC. Basically, he is a kid with his power is gravity manipulation. And basically, what he wants is to help his mom out financially. He early on in chapter 1, he knows his mom is stressed about some of their house notes, so he's trying to figure out what ways can he help her. And he figures that if he goes to college, he can get a good job and help his mother out financially. But his teacher challenges him and says, "Why do you want to go to college?" And he basically essentially says, "I just want to help my mom out." But the next thing the teacher asks him is that if your mom had everything take care of, what would you do? And he really didn't have an answer. So I think the teacher challenged him to find a passion that he actually wants to do. Like, be passionate about something. It's good that you want to help people around you and all that stuff, but doing something you're passionate about will take you further. And so I think TJ's story is about finding that passion and also learning to be empathetic. Because if you notice early on in the story, there are things going on in his environment, as we talked about earlier, with how crime rates are increasing because people are going haywire with these new abilities that have been for a few generations, and he's kind of ignorant to all those things and not really paying them any mind. He's kind of just putting them on the back burner and focus because he has so much other things going on. He's like, I want to just focus on this, right? So I think that part of my story is also about how him learning to care about his environment because it's important. Where you live is important. So that's pretty much wrapped up today.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us a bit more about the setting and what inspired the setting?
I got you. So basically, the study's inspired by my hometown, Memphis. Now, it's not exactly a one-to-one. Like, how I set up the world is Memphis is divided into 7 wards. That is not Memphis at all. Like, I simplified it down a little bit so I can write a better story about it. But I really wanted to just tell a story about a lot of things going up in Memphis. Like, for example, the school they go to, I based off some of the schools I went to. Just like a lot of little things I took, and I just, like, for example, the school logo, even like the school, their class thing. Like, I had gym 7 periods, so I made that their 7-period class. Little things like that. Oh, nice. So I'm just basing a lot of characters off people I knew growing up, like whether it be teachers, faculty, parents, a lot of my friends, and I really just want to talk about a lot of the social issues that I saw growing up in Memphis, and essentially the answer I think that can solve that. And it's just my answer because when you have a story, the author is giving an answer to whatever the theme of the story is. So I plan to give my answer to what I think could help with some of the social issues I saw growing up in Memphis.
Great, yeah, that's awesome. And what series have influenced your work both artistically and story wise?
So I can start with art. So definitely Chainsaw Man. Something I really love is Fujimoto's just basic, just visual storytelling with his sequential imaging. Something he really does is that when he's showing a character going through the emotions, like, you get to really walk through that with them. So, like, for example, in chapter 1, where TJ is in the computer lab, the study lounge, and he's like reenacting, remembering the conversation he had with Lisa, when he was rude to her. You see him first; he's sitting up, then he's sitting down, then he put his head on the table. I think that you can really walk through what the character's feeling. I don't have to really say anything, and that's one thing I took from Fujimoto. A lot of my facial expressions I get from Gege Akutami. I think he is. I don't know. I like the grittiness. Like, I like the open eyes, the toji. I just love Gege's art style, like his line work. And then the Boondocks. You know what I'm saying? I'm making a story about a bunch of black characters, so I need some sauce in there. You know what I'm saying? I need some sauce in there.
I see in the hair
So
too.
I got a lot of the
How you draw
hair expressions. So I mixed Boondocks with JJK expressions, and that's what I pretty much came up with.
Nice.
Now
You
story.
didn't mention your love for the Fujimoto folds.
How can I forget? How can I forget? Fujimoto. Listen, guys, if y'all want to learn how to draw clothing, look at Fujimoto's works. He a little crazy with his folds. He does even more than I do. But I would say how to make clothes look like they fit natural on the character. I would say look at Fujimoto. He really does an excellent job. So yeah, that's what people say. That's like my trademark now is like how excessive my folds are. And I don't really know when I started to draw folds that way. Like I can't really pinpoint something, but I noticed that my folds look similar to Fujimoto. So I was like, I'm gonna take a look. I'm gonna move even closer to his style because like my folds are already kind of like that. If you look at some of my old drawings, but I was like, I like how he does it more excessively, so I'm gonna do that. So that's what I did with him.
There you go.
Story wise, I mean, my story isn't really like, I think people are gonna say My Hero, but that's just because they're in a superpower society. But after that, it's really not My Hero at all.
Right.
So I mean, story wise, if I'm being honest, it is mostly just my experiences growing up, and then me basing because I'm gonna be touching on like things like gang culture, drug cartels, things like that. I researched a lot of these characters off of real people, like actual drug leaders, mobsters, things like that. So my story is really based off my experience and making it a fantasy. You know, the experience I from a lot of my friends growing up, family members, their friends, things like that. I've heard a lot of even things that weren't necessarily directly connected to me. Maybe my friends had a friend who experienced something. I'm taking things from that. So not necessarily an anime, mostly just my experiences and just real life stuff. So.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, and so far, we're only at one chapter. I feel like things are meshing together well, where it doesn't feel like it makes no sense or anything like that. Like I'm not questioning anything, which is good. I'm not like, oh, how do they have superpowers? But how is there also gang violence? And how are they in school? You know, everything. All those elements are working well together. And yeah, but you were racking up the views, the comments, all this great stuff. You got second place after what, like a day and a half up on the Manga Creators Plus Manga Plus Creators website. That's insane. Congratulations again.
I appreciate that. Honestly, I did not expect that to happen. And I want to say thanks to everybody who watched this. I thank y'all so much. Like, y'all do not understand how much y'all motivated me to I literally, when I was watching the views and the likes and all that stuff and everyone talking about it, I was like, no, I got to drop chapter 2 like right now. Like I started doing more writing. Like I was going to kind of just take a little break and just kind of think about some things. But I was like, no, I'm gonna push myself and I'm gonna really start focusing, because it was just like the amount of support I got. I thought to myself like, do I deserve this? But then I was like, no, I worked hard for this, and I am so appreciative of people who like used to me. Like you made so many videos, you don't know how much that means to me. There's a lot of my mutuals who did the same thing. Like I do thank y'all a lot. Like y'all showed up for me. Now I'm not gonna forget that. I'm not.
It's no problem. And again, you're making quality work, so it makes people want to support you in a very genuine way. And I'm excited to see where the story goes, where the characters go. And I've been so happy to see the Hussle and Hussle Manga hashtags blowing up. And remember, okay, everyone, just so you know, it's Hussle with 2 S's, so it's HUSSLE. Yeah, did I spell it right?
Yeah.
And do we have a story behind why it's spelled 2 S's?
Nipsey, like like I was literally, when I was writing Hustle, like I didn't think about how to spell it. When I was early writing Hustle, I was listening to Nipsey and I was like, I'm gonna spell it this way. It just looks cooler to me. I was listening to Nipsey's song called Hustle Way. That's one of my favorite Nipsey songs. I was listening to that like, nah, I like the way he spelled this. It got some swag to it. I was like, I'm gonna spell it this way. So like, when I took the Hustle, I think if it's going to T. You know, the thing about it is, I think it looks better, and also when people like type it with a T now, it looks off to me. I was like, why y'all spell? When I was looking at the way y'all were spelling it, I was like, am I tripping? And it was I convinced myself it was spelled with 2 S's at that point. Like seriously, like I was like, wow. But yeah, Nipsey is definitely. It's nothing really complicated. I just like the way Nipsey spell it, and I like his music. So
Nice. And so, what's the future for Hussle looking like? What are your future ideas for where to take the series and timelines on where to work on stuff or platforms you're going to be on? Anything like that?
So right now I'm on Manga Plus. I do plan to drop on Webtoons after I drop Chapter 2, so I can have 3. Because I have a Chapter 0 out and a Chapter 1. So when I drop a chapter, after I drop Chapter 2, I want to put it on Webtoons so I can have 3 chapters available for people on Webtoons. Cause I see usually when people drop on Webtoons, they drop like at least 3 chapters. So that's why I'm holding off on Webtoons. And I'm also gonna put some Voice Me. Some things I want to do is I want to create volumes. So like after I get certain amount of chapters, I want to create my volume 1, and I want to sell that. And I want to create merchandise. I want to have the Lincoln High School. I want to create sweaters with a lion on it, hoodies, headbands. I want to do that. I want to do posters. I want to do the volume 1 of TJ Jumping. I want to make that a sweater. I think that'd be fire. Like my volume covers be like sweaters. Like I think that'd be dope too. So as far as like story wise, I mean, some people are like, no, I gotta make it 200 chapters. I'm like, I can tell the story under 100. Like I'm thinking about it more. I feel like I can tell a story under 100 chapters. So I think, at least for right now, I say 75 to 100 chapters is how long I think the length will be. Because I want to be around a Chainsaw Man length. Don't be too long. So I feel like I want to get in, tell the story. Yeah. Just get in, tell the story, get out. That's what I want to do. Because I do have another project I want to work on. That's like, it's actually, I want to write a romance.
Yeah.
So after this story, I actually plan to write a romance story. Yeah, I plan to write a romance story as it is. So, I don't want to spend too much. I don't want this. I'm not. Yeah, it's so seriously. I'm not trying to be Oda. I'm trying to get in, get out. I ain't trying to take too long.
Yeah, I like that when you get multiple good series from an author. I don't need like one super long series. It's great seeing different stories and seeing people that you've enjoyed one story take on like a different type of genre is fun too. So I'm looking forward to the romance series as well.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm a kind of, because people are asking me like, "They'll be romance in my Hussle." I'm gonna start testing out my romance skills in Hussle. Now, I wouldn't say romance is a huge genre in my story, but it is. I do think it's important for certain characters, so I want to kind of test out like some romantic elements in the story. So I'm actually gonna, I was actually planning to reread Golden Age, because Golden Age of Berserk does an excellent job of, I think, of romance. So I wanted to look at some things like that, look at some more different romance stories to kind of figure out, maybe look at some tropes and kind of figure out like, okay, maybe I should do this, that, and third. So there will be romance also. People are asking me, so there'll be some romance in there. Not too much though. Not too much.
Yeah, not too much. People are already making their ships, already seeing which characters they like together.
They are.
Can't disappoint people. Gotta give them their ships, all of the ships.
No, I
gotta make it all work.
I don't mind. I think it's fun. Like when people, like even when people are debating things about who their favorite character is. Remember that people have the conversation about like the argument between TJ and Lisa in chapter 1. Like it's so interesting. Like wow, people are really talking about my story. Like it's a humbling feeling. It's like wow, this is like dope that people are shipping my characters. Like people are talking about certain things. Like it's actually dope, and that's why I wanted to do that contest where people can draw my characters for cash prizes, make edits or analysis for cash prizes, because it's just cool to see. Like above anything, it's just cool.
Too.
Like
yeah. So the contest. Do you know how many entries you've gotten so far?
I've gotten so many. I'm glad I'm not the one judging it, because I'm having one of my friends judge it. Like do all 3 just because I didn't want people to think it's like a biased thing for people I mostly interact with win. So I want like close friends who judge it. And what I've been doing is I've just been like people who post videos about the edits or their analysis or their drawings. I just been favoring them, and I'm gonna like collect them all up and just send them to my friend. And then some people have been DMing me some of their art submissions. So I'm gonna put that in there and just let them just pick three drawings, 3 analysis, and three edits, and we're gonna see what happens.
That's great. Yeah, well,
that's prizes too.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and I love just being on my For You page, whatever, and then like a Hussle submission just pops up on my screen. I'm like, yeah, there we go.
Yes.
It's just really cool.
It's so crazy. I've seen, like, within this week, just people posting, like, I've seen, or just people making content on my stories. Some people just say, hey, just read this manga. It's not even just like a submission. I've seen well over 50 videos, like, well over, like, within the past few days. So it's been, it's honestly crazy.
And what do you think? What do you think is grabbing people so much? What do you think is separating yourself from some other works that you were competing against, or what do you think is making people like really want to read it? Because even before people, I just want everyone to know, before the promo videos were rolling out, before everyone was, hashtag hustling, the views were crazy. The views are racking up really quickly. So what do you think is pulling people towards your series and making them want to tell their friends and everyone about it?
If I can go from like a writing perspective, I think I wanted to make people build a connection to characters. So I think early on, that's what I think people are connecting most to, because I think with a lot of at least a lot of you new writers, they kind of sometimes maybe get to action, and I was like, I want to hold off on action a little bit, and that's not a bad thing, but it's just more so I think my style of writing. I was like, I want to make you care about people, and then whatever they do, you're gonna enjoy it. So I think that's what I was trying to do. I was like, let them connect, and once they connected to them, shoot, like even characters I like. For example, I could watch Denji eating some food, and I'm like, I'm having a great time watching Denji do this because I love Denji because I'm connected to him. So that's what I was trying to really focus on. And I think the world building I did creates a lot of questions as far as like interest. Like, oh wow, I wonder what this is. Like, I feel like that was something I try to set with that as far as like, okay, as soon as TJ is looking at scholarship, you see Mayor Jackson run for president, and I emphasize that you see Mayor Jackson talking about the Reyes incident. Like it's you see little things like that where you're like, oh, I wonder what this character's about. You know what I'm saying? You see TJ's walking to school, and obviously before he's walking to school, I talk about how the crime is increasing, and then he sees somebody in the alleyways watching him. So I'm trying to do a lot of showing, and then I wanted to really have fun character interactions. That's why I wanted to put Jalen in the middle of. I feel like Jalen is a character that I'm actually gonna give. I did not think people were gonna like Jalen as much as they did. I'm gonna be honest. Like I wanted to be a fun character who that did have a storyline, but now people love him. Like, whoa, I'm gonna add another storyline for him. Like I actually added another.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, I think it's mostly the character interactions I had in the early chapters.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think the powers are interesting too, in that of course, we've been seeing people talk about how the powers might interact with each other, or how it might reflect things about their personalities and things like that. And I think there's a layer of relatability that we get because it takes place in a world that's not too different from our own. And we see TJ struggling with, scholarships. Like so many of us, especially, because you're an American, you're writing for probably a predominantly American audience reading it. And so we know what it's like to search for scholarships and apply and cross your fingers, and then, you get rejected or whatever. So I like all the little relatable things that are in there. And then the fantastical elements are interesting too. And then, of course, we've all had like little moments where we might have been jealous or petty, or, these type of emotions that aren't glamorous, but we go through them and we have a support system, or we wish we did. And it's just, I don't know, just a lot of things to relate to and care about with these characters. And I really like that. In one chapter, it was really good.
I think with TJ, because for context, people haven't read it, you should read it on Manga Plus. What I wanted to do with TJ is I wanted to kind of show how he deals with conflict, and at least smaller conflict. I wanted to have flesh out how he interacts with every character he talks to. Like, for example, his teacher, his mother, and his friends. Like I was like, let me really solidify in the world too. Like, for example, him just walking past homeless person. That's how he interacts with the world. He don't focus on it. That's his interaction with it. But I think what I really want to emphasize that chapter is the conversation with his mom. Stuff like that was the most important thing, because I had him so stressed out during the entire chapter, and so it's still going to be, that's still part of his character. He's just because you have one conversation, not going to heal everything, but I gave him at least an opening about, okay, if I can just be myself, that's enough. Now, that's easier said than done. He's going to have to learn to take that advice his mom gave him. It's this, because I think that one thing I want to do with my character is that, like, growth is not linear. You're going to have moments where you backslide and you don't do things in the way in which you want to, or you make mistakes. And I want that to be like the character that I'm creating, is that the growth is not going to be linear. They're going to, even when they figure out a way, they're going to struggle to overcome it. Because that's life. Like, life is complicated. Even if you have the answer, it's still tough. Even like characters like Jalen, like, he's in class, he don't bring no books to class, but you know what? He's still upset he ain't doing it well. Like, that's life.
Yeah.
Like, you know people who don't study, but if they get F, they're gonna be upset. Now, obviously, they can just study, but that's, again, I think life is not as straightforward sometimes, and there could be reasons why you're not applying yourself the way that you want to. You know what I'm saying? It's not just as simple as, well, just studying to get life to be better. Maybe you're doing a lot of internal things. Let me stop right here, because I don't want to spoil nothing. Let me just stop. I was about to say something. Let me just slow down. I'm gonna slow down. I'll slow down. I'm done. I'm done. Serena keeps me grounded.
Yeah, I try, because you know what the thing is, I'm excited to just experience the chapters, the arcs, everything,
I know,
without too much spoil. So it's for me too. But I'm like, Ty, please, Ty, stop, Ty.
I know. I'm getting better, kinda. I am getting better. Actually, I am getting better. I'm getting better.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining me to talk about
no problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and again, congratulations. Can't wait for chapter 2. You're thinking this month or February? We're not exactly sure yet.
So I put in at the end of chapter 1, I said I'm releasing in February. However, I'm working hard to hopefully get released this month. No promises. At no later, it will be released no later than February, but I'm really aiming for this month, because I already had chapter 2 written out. I already had the storyboards. Now this is just about me drawing it. And then some things I do is, like, once I draw my first chapter, there's some two people who are making manga. A lot of times when the script to storyboard to manga, it gives you a different feel. Like, for example, I'm drawing things out, I'm like, this does not feel the way I wrote it. So now I may have to, like, add a page or add a panel, or sometimes dialogue doesn't hit the same, because, like, the visual aspect to it kind of shifts things. So I tell, like, well, if my conversation is not flowing well, I add a panel. You know the panel of the page of TJ and Lisa going back and forth, like, boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Like, that was originally not in the script.
Really?
That was not a page I planned. It wasn't. So the thing about it was, TJ said, and the thing with TJ was like, what are you worried about? You're the smartest person. You're the strongest person I know. You live safe neighborhood. That was originally another line. I changed their entire conversation. Like, the original conversation they had, it was pretty much the same idea, but the way I went about it was just really different. So, like, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of that reworking once I draw it out. So that may be the hold up, but no later than February.
No later than February. Okay, yeah. Remember, guys, to check out the Manga Plus Creators website, and make sure to follow Ty as well there, and that helps boost his rank as well. And I think you might get an alert when a new chapter comes up. Yeah. So make sure to follow, and of course check back in maybe late January and also early February to see when chapter 2 is out. Because I know once you finish chapter 1, you're gonna want to get straight into chapter 2, and make sure to read chapter 0 too. It's really nice. Chapter 0.
Yes, read. Really pretty. Yes, read, guys. You gotta read chapter 0. You know what? I'm thinking, like, should I just put chapter 0 in chapter 1? It was like 2 pages. I should have done that. We all make mistakes, right?
Yeah, it's okay. And it's such a small mistake.
Yeah, it is. But the thing about it is, and I kind of redo the narration when TJ is using his powers again, like about metahumans. Exactly. But chapter 0 is essentially about just that initial monologue, about the prologue, pretty much, of how people got powers. It's very simple. It's like 3 sentences at most. And it's color. It's in color. My common manga is black, but it's in color. So.
Yeah. Well, where can people connect with you? Where do you want them to check you out, follow you?
Okay, so Instagram, and I need to make everything in one name, but we'll work on it, right? So on Instagram is T_C Davis. That's my Instagram. My TikTok, which I'm mostly active on, is Ty, so TY Davis 737. So that's TikTok, and T_C Davis is Instagram.
Okay, great. And make sure to check them out there for the analysis for different series, and you'll see just how much Ty understands art and storytelling, because he loves talking about it in other series like Naruto, What are your biggest series that you didn't talk about on your platforms?
At this point, I'm kind of I mainly talk about a lot of just the popular shonen series like My Hero, Black Clover, Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, things like that. Like I did a whole this whole year, 2022. I read One Piece. I was doing analysis on it, like Luffy and other characters, the story. So just really just popular shonen because like that's really what people want to hear about. They only want to hear about shonen. So that's what I mainly talk about. And most I do my art analysis. Also, I love shonen too. Like I'm a big shonen fan. So, that's mainly what my page is about right now. And just stuff updates on my story.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. And everybody, make sure to follow Ty on all of his socials. Read Hussle. It's so good. And I'm excited for the future chapters. And I can't wait, make sure to yeah, and be excited for the future of Hussle. I could see this going big. Who knows? Maybe one day animation. I need to see these fights animated. I need to see these powers animated. If we get those nice edits too, and it makes me like, oh, I want to see this Netflix. Let's go, Hussle.
If we get an anime, it's gonna be. That's gonna be different. That would be different if we get an anime. That would be wow.
All right. Well, thank you, and I will make sure to keep you guys updated on everything else too, because I'm going to be talking about Hussle as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thanks for listening to the Serena and 2D Anime Podcast.
Thank you for having me.